I now played a lot of Monster Hunter Wilds, and there are a lot of handy things that I wish I knew earlier. So no matter if you're a newcomer or a series veteran, I've got tips for you like how to extend and improve meal buffs, deal a ton of extra damage, and way more. One quick trick that can be really helpful for everyone is adjusting the camera distance. Since you're fighting some pretty large enemies, and they certainly won't get any smaller over the course of the campaign, it can be tricky to keep track of both your hunter and the monster. To help with this, you want to go into the camera section of your menu, go to the second page and increase the camera distance zoom option. This moves the camera further away from your character, making it easier to keep an overview in a fight. And of course, if you want a closer look at your armor, decreasing this setting will bring the camera even closer to your hunter. Now when it comes to your personal safety, just like previous games, you are able to cook meals that massively boost your health and stamina, although the way this works is a bit different in Wilds. Thanks to your portable barbecue grill, you can cook pretty much anywhere in the field, and any tent in base or a pop-up camp will also allow you to cook. A standard meal is prepared with rations and lasts for half an hour, and you always want to have this buff active. The supply master Tom at your base camp will resupply you with these rations on the regular, so there's really no reason not to. But you can also add special ingredients to your meal to increase the effect, as any added ingredient increases the effect duration to 50 minutes. And depending on the ingredient, you also get an extra buff that lasts for the same duration. The best and easiest special material to gather early are drool shrooms, which reduce the stamina cost of actions like evading while the meal is active, so they're very useful. You get this item by trading with the Whatwats out in the Scarlet Forest. This feature unlocks after the second hunt in the Scarlet Forest, which is early in the campaign, and we're specifically looking for the one called Musharp Eye. She will often have these drool shrooms available for trade, but you will need some treasures from the forest to exchange for the materials. Luckily, there's a large stash of them hidden very close to the Whatwat hideout, so you can just fast travel to there and then make sure you drop into the bottom part of zone 12 over here on the map. Then keep heading left to the waterfall, pass under it and dive into the water. Here you can grab a ton of treasure with your slinger that you can then use to trade. If there are no drool shrooms available, just check back every 1 or 2 hunts to see if the Whatwats have restocked their inventory. As for the treasures, these respawn, and just like every gathering node in the game, you can check how long it takes by hovering over the individual node on the map. And if you want to bring your hunter closer to the monster, you want to make use of your mount, the Seikret. It's the biggest new feature for Wilds, and it's such a nice addition considering how big the maps are in this new Monster Hunter. By pressing up on the D-pad, your mount will automatically pick you up and run towards a monster during a hunt. But you can also set a custom waypoint on the map by pressing the right stick, and now your Seikret will take you in that direction after pressing up. To reduce your downtime in a hunt, it's smart to do things like sharpening your weapon or recovering lost health while your mount is still chasing a monster, as all of these actions can be performed while riding. In fact, you can also use this trick during combat, so you can sharpen your weapon while avoiding a monster's attack. You can of course also grab some items from pretty far away actually with your slinger, while your Seikret safely carries you to your next objective. And there are actually multiple ways in which you can call for your Seikret, so next to pressing up, you can also press left to access the Seikret's pouch or right to switch your weapons. Because both of these actions require you to be mounted, you will automatically call your Seikret and ride it. And I'll go over the item pouch more in a bit, as there is some very useful stuff in there. And while it doesn't really do any fighting, you should not underestimate your Seikret's usefulness in combat. You can use your weapon to attack while mounted, which is especially nice on ranged weapons, as you can keep damaging a monster while it's moving over to a new area. But what anyone can do, regardless of your weapon, is use the Seikret to set up a mount. As soon as you spot a monster, ride towards it and press X or A to jump off, and make sure you hit it with an attack while still in the air. The first attack seemingly won't do much, but a second jumping attack will be enough to trigger a mount. So recall your Seikret, hit the monster in the air again, and this time your hunter will cling to the creature. Tap triangle or Y to start creating a wound, and hold R2 or RT to brace when the monster tries to throw you off. Once the wound starts glowing red, press R1 or RB for a draw finisher, which brings the monster crashing to the ground, giving you a few seconds to wail on it before it gets back up. Now most monsters will be pretty pissed after you do this, but even if they hit you back, there are a ton of ways in which you can restore your health. Regular potions or mega potions will do the trick, but there are actually some better options in Wilds. In In many places, especially more cavernous areas, you'll notice these vigor mantle bugs that are just kind of chilling on the wall. Picking one up or grabbing it with your slinger uses it as a healing potion, but you cannot store these for later, so if you are at low health and see one of these, make sure to grab them first. There are actually more little critters with useful effects like the wiggly lychee that increase your stamina and decrease stamina usage. Later areas like the oil well basin and the ice shard cliffs will also include bugs that can shield you from the extreme temperatures of these zones, so make sure to keep an eye out for those too. If you don't protect yourself against the elements, they will have a continuous negative effect on you. You can craft hot and cold drinks to combat them, but you can also look for these cold and heat mantle bugs that provide you with the same buff. And by the way, if you liked the video so far, would be awesome if you could leave a like and subscribe for more Monster Hunter Wilds videos. Now, while there are many useful items to gather, you actually also get some for free at the start of each hunt. So during main story missions, every time you pick up a quest at Alma, or even if you hit a creature in the wild until the begin quest notification appears, you get some free stuff. You access these from your Seikret pouch, which you open by pressing left on the D-pad, and among them will be a special healing potion called a first aid mat, which you want to transfer to your inventory. These items, alongside any items that have easy in their name, will disappear from your inventory after you complete the current hunt, so you want to make sure you use these first. Also keep an eye out for a notification that tells you new items have been added to this pouch during a hunt, as it does get restocked over time as well. Once those are spent, you can use your regular potions, of which you will have plenty, but you do want to make sure you keep building that supply by picking herbs to make potions and honey to upgrade them to mega potions. You can of course check the map. There's some herbs next to the base camp entrance in the first region and some honey over here in zone 8. And if you're ever running short, you want to make sure that you equip the ladder set, which is available for everyone from the start of the game. The botanist perk on this armor increases the amount of herbs you can gather from a single plant, and it does the same for other useful crafting materials like nuts and insects. And speaking of gathering, you can use a similar trick to gather a ton of materials needed for crafting weapons and armor. The chainmail set, which you also get for free, has the geologist perk, which grants extra resources when gathering from bone piles and ore veins. You can even save multiple equipment loadouts so you can quickly access the entire set rather than having to switch out the individual pieces. Simply open your equipment menu and press the left stick, then triangle or Y to store your current loadout. You can also use this feature when sorting your item pouch to create an item loadout. Again, you access this menu by pressing the left stick, and it is a great time saver. Instead of storing and restocking items manually, you can simply set up your ideal loadout and save it. After each hunt, simply access your loadouts again and select your stored preset to immediately store unwanted items and restock the rest. I also recommend having a separate loadout for capture quests, which includes a shock trap and some trank bombs, but in general a really good feature to save yourself some time. But the most important part of your loadout is of course your selection of weapons, and if you want to practice a specific one, there's an excellent spot in base camp where you can brush up your skills. All the way in the back of your first main camp is a training area where you can try out all your moves against a training dummy. You can, for example, mount your Seikret in this area to practice jump attacks, but if you talk to the Palico Luke, you can adjust multiple settings to help with your training. The most useful feature here is turning on the barrel puncher, as this allows you to practice the timing of your perfect blocks and dodges against something less unpredictable than a wild monster. If you are more worried about hitting a monster, there's an amazing new feature in Wilds that especially makes slower weapons a lot more forgiving. But the focus mode, accessed by simply holding L2 or LT with your weapon drawn, is available for every weapon. You can use this to manually target the direction of your swing, so basically aim where you are going to hit, which is already useful for targeting specific parts of a monster. But you can also swing the camera around mid-attack to redirect a move. This is especially useful on moves with a long attack animation like a Greatsword's True Charge Slash or the Charge Blade's SAED, as the monster will often move before the hit connects. But with focus mode, you can redirect your swing and potentially still hit the target. And there's another major new mechanic in Wilds that plays into this, which are wounds. These appear after you frequently hit the same part of a monster, and they can be easily spotted thanks to their red glow by entering focus mode. Each weapon also has a focus strike performed by holding L2 or LT, then pressing R1 or RB, and when this attack connects with the wound, it destroys it and any other other wounds it hits. Not only is this an excellent way of dealing damage, each destroyed wound also grants extra material, so you'll be able to craft weapons and gear even faster. Some monsters will even present you with an opportunity to trigger a focus strike themselves, like the Ray Dao you will encounter during the main story too. The Ray Dao can fire his Ray Gun, aka his giant lightning cannon, and then he will land and leave his face exposed. If you then use focus mode, you'll see it is actually glowing red, regardless of whether you inflicted a wound on it prior. So steer clear of the attack and then get close to him as he lands to punish Ray Dao with a high damage attack. Now sometimes you might want to switch up your gear in order to tackle a monster's elemental weakness, for example. So to quickly travel back to base, open your map and press right on the D-pad, then X or A to open the fast travel menu. You can also use this feature to quickly travel between the new pop-up camps, small tents out in the wild that you can also use to resupply and change your armor. You unlock the ability to place these after your second hunt in the Scarlet Forest, which is still very early in the game, by the way. As the game tells you, you can place them at spots marked with swarms of butterflies by either using a camping kit or from base camp by talking to Tak the Palico. They only cost a little bit of guild points to build and they are definitely worth the investment. You do have a limit on how many you can place per region though, so make sure to spread them out a bit so you always have a place nearby you can use to restock. Each pop-up camp also has a Palico buddy next to it that you can use to customize the look of your tent or remove it if you think the camp is better placed elsewhere. Now you'll see that some camp locations are marked as dangerous, which in my experience is not something you should worry about in the early game. It does not mean that you are in danger, it just means a monster might spot your camp and try and wreck it, but they automatically recover over time anyway. Let me know if you have any tips you'd like to share and subscribe as we'll be making more of these videos for Monster Hunter Wilds. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you want you can watch our guide on what weapon is best for you by clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.